Hey there. Welcome back to Prediabetes and the Path to Better A1C podcast. I am your host, Jenny Pena. I am a national board certified health and wellness coach, and I help people with prediabetes just stop guessing and create these routines that work with their lives. And this is the first episode of a four-part myth busting series. Today, we're going to talk about nutrition. And next week, we'll talk about exercise. After that, I'm going to cover sleep and stress. And then we're going to finish the series covering supplements and medications. As always, this podcast is for education and general information. It is not medical advice. And please, 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 you should speak with your healthcare provider about your individual needs. Everybody's different. Everybody has different health profiles, especially if you take medication. Okay? So before we begin, I also want to quickly tell you about my 5-day sugar fix reset. If you're tired of collecting information but still don't know what to focus on first, this simple reset gives you one simple focus each day for 5 days. And you can build from there for weeks after. It is not a restrictive meal plan, and it is not a list of foods you can never eat again. It is just a simple starting point to help you begin balancing your meals and increasing your energy while making food decisions with more confidence. Not coming from restriction, but coming from confidence of knowing how your body reacts and being in tune with your body, knowing how to build meals that will truly support you. Now, the reset is $27, and you can find it through the link in the show notes or go to energy.subscribepage.io. Now, let's start with one of the biggest myths of all when it comes to blood sugar and nutrition. Myth number one, you have to eliminate carbohydrates. Oh boy. This is usually like the first conclusion that people reach after being diagnosed with prediabetes. They go home, they search online, and suddenly it seems like every answer says the same thing: stop eating carbohydrates. So maybe you tried keto. Maybe you tried avoiding bread or rice or pasta or potatoes or fruit. Maybe it works for a little while, but eventually it becomes very difficult to maintain. Then, the moment you eat something you are trying to avoid, it feels like you failed. And here I'm going to tell you carbohydrates are not automatically the problem. The biggest question is what type of carbohydrate you're eating, how much are you eating, and what are you eating it with? For example, toast by itself may not keep you full for very long, but toast with eggs, avocado, and another source of protein and healthy fat is a more balanced meal. This is why I teach people to look for protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Instead of asking, am I allowed to eat this? Try asking, what can I add to make this more balanced? Maybe you add chicken and vegetables to your rice. Maybe you add Greek yogurt and nuts to your fruit. Maybe you have eggs alongside your toast instead of eating the toast by itself. The goal is not to remove every carbohydrate from your life. The goal is to build a meal that gives you more steady energy and keeps you satisfied. Okay? Now, myth number two, fruit has too much sugar. I hear that all the time. And fruit creates such an unnecessary fear because people begin worrying about a banana or an apple because they have been told to avoid sugar. But whole fruit is more than sugar. It also contains water, fiber, vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients. So that does not mean that portions never matter or that every person responds exactly the same way. It simply means that Fruit does not need to be treated like candy. How you eat it can also make a big difference. An apple with peanut butter will usually be more satisfying than just the apple by itself. Berries with Greek yogurt are very different from drinking a large fruit juice cup. A banana alongside breakfast is different from eating one quickly because you skipped lunch and suddenly you feel exhausted. So, this is where context matters a lot. A few easy combinations, I already mentioned it, like the berries with the Greek yogurt, or the apple with the peanut butter, or the peaches with cottage cheese, or having fruit alongside a regular balanced meal. And also, one thing that I want to say as well is pay attention to how you feel with different fruits and different portions. Do you stay satisfied? Are you hungry again 30 minutes after? Does this meal is truly supporting my energy? That information is much more useful than automatically labeling food as good or bad. Okay? Now, this is the third one, and a lot of people are going to be a bit surprised. Myth number three: oatmeal is always the best breakfast. Now, I know you probably heard from a lot of dietitians how amazing oatmeal is for your cholesterol, right? A lot of people will say that I'm going to start eating more oatmeal because it's going to help me with the cholesterol, which is something that a lot of people with insulin sensitivity issues and having raising blood sugars tend to see also being elevated. And I'm here to tell you that oatmeal can absolutely be part of a balanced breakfast, but not every bowl of oatmeal is the same. A packet of sweetened instant oatmeal is very different from plain rolled oats or steel cut oats. What you add to the oatmeal also matters because depending on the type of oatmeal, there's a different amount of fiber in them. And then a bowl with oats, if you start adding honey and dried fruits and a banana, they may be really good sources of carbohydrates, but there is not much protein in there. And that could leave you hungry. And I can assure you, you're going to be tired in less than 2 hours. You're going to feel that crash. So instead of removing the oatmeal, look at what may be missing. Could you add some nuts, seeds, nut butter, Greek yogurt, protein powder? Could you have eggs on the side? Could you use the plain oats and add your own fruit instead of buying this heavily sweetened packet? See, food can be considered healthy and still not be the best choice for you in every form, portion, or combination. So you're allowed to experiment. You're allowed to notice that a popular, healthy breakfast does not keep you satisfied. And you are allowed to adjust it without deciding that you did something. Okay? Now, myth number four: whole grain and sugar free always mean blood sugar friendly. That could not be further from the truth. Food labels can be extremely confusing. Words like whole grain, natural, multigrain, sugar free, they sound very reassuring. It makes you feel like you're doing amazing. You're picking something that is better. But they do not tell you the full story. A product can contain whole grains and still be highly processed. A sugar free cookie can still contain flour and other carbohydrates. So, some sugar free products also contain sugar alcohols, right? Like that sugar substitute, which may cause some digestive discomfort. And I personally feel that it trains your palate to seek that flavor profile. So whether it may be sugar free, you're still eating something that it tastes very sweet. So you're going to always want to find that taste. And I'm not saying do not ever buy packaged food. That's not what I'm saying. But it just means that the front of the package should not be the only thing guiding your decision. I want you to turn the package around. I want you to look at the ingredients. I want you to look at the serving size. I want you to look at the amount of fiber and protein, and then ask yourself how this food fits into the rest of your meal. You do not need to find a magical product with a perfect label. What you need to do is understand what you're eating and what you may want to add alongside to make it balanced. And then assess, how do you feel? Am I feeling energy? Am I feeling groggy? Am I feeling tired? Then you need to assess, am I feeling energized? Am I feeling focused? Or an hour later, I'm still looking for a snack because I am not feeling that much energy as I should. Be in tune with how your body feels with different foods because people react to different things. So the more in tune you are with your body, the better. Myth number 5. Oh, this is another one. Everyone should follow the same carbohydrate limit. You may have seen recommendations online telling everyone with prediabetes to eat a specific number of carbohydrates per meal or per day. And I get asked that a lot. And a lot of people are a little upset when I tell them, well, it really depends. Like they don't want to hear depends, they want to hear a number, right? But there is no single number that works perfectly for every person. There's so many factors and components that will influence that. So people have different bodies, schedules, activity levels, medical histories, medications, preferences, and specific goals. So the same person may even respond differently to a meal depending on the time of the day, depending on the amount of sleep that they got, or the stress levels, the activity that they are performing, and what else they ate. So it's not a magic number. There's some guidelines out there. I'm not shying away from them. And I'm sure that if you work with a dietitian, they will be able to give you that. But they're going to ask a lot of questions and they're going to try to estimate. And still, after they give you a number, you still have to tweak it and connect to how you feel. So when you're trying to get something that is standard, you're kind of copying somebody else's exact plan. And then when you don't see results or you're not feeling optimal, you feel frustrated. So instead of beginning with this rigid number, begin by looking at patterns. What type of carbs are you eating? Are you always pairing them with protein and some sort of healthy fat? Are you having fiber with them? What portion feels satisfying without leaving you uncomfortable? How do you feel afterwards? Are you hungry again quickly? Do you experience a major energy crash? Like, and again, I'm Hispanic, so siesta time. Like, I need a nap. I need to lay down. Or do you feel satisfied and not the need to be grazing and grabbing snacks until your next meal, right? Those patterns can help you have a more useful conversation with your doctor, dietitian. You need an approach that takes your needs and your life into account. Now, let's go back to the question we started with. Will you be able to enjoy food again? I'm here to tell you yes. But first, you may need to stop looking at every food as a test that you can pass or fail. You do not need to be perfect, and even your meals are not always going to be perfectly balanced. You do not need to remove every food that you enjoy. And surely you do not need to rebuild your entire diet overnight. That's the recipe for disaster. Most of what we talked about today was not about taking food away. Have you noticed that? I have not said you need to eliminate A, B, C, or D. What I've said is, how can you add certain things? It was about adding balance, adding protein, adding fiber, adding healthy fats, adding awareness of how different meals make you feel. This is a much more realistic place to begin. Now, I always have an action, something for you to reflect, something for you to take away or practice or try. And here's your action for the week. I want you to choose one meal you eat regularly. It could be breakfast, it could be lunch, it could be dinner, it could be your snack that you have in the afternoon. I really want you to look at that meal and ask yourself, what could I add to make this more balanced? Maybe your breakfast needs more protein. Maybe you like that oatmeal and you know, there is no protein here. Maybe you know that the type of oatmeal that you're having has a lot of added sugar and you're going to swap that for steel cut and you're going to add fruit instead of added sugar for sweetness. Maybe it's your lunch that could use adding a vegetable or any other source of fiber. Maybe it's your afternoon fruits that need something else alongside of it so that you don't eat it alone. So choose one thing to add. Do not try to fix the entire week. Do not try to fix every single meal. Practice improving that one meal and pay attention to how you feel afterwards. That is your experiment. That's your assignment. And as you move forward, you can continue moving on to different meals of the day or different favorites that you have, and you can optimize them and make them more balanced. And then next week, we're going to talk about exercise myths. And so make sure that you follow or subscribe so you do not miss the next episode in the series. And if this episode helped you, please share with someone who has been feeling confused or overwhelmed since being diagnosed with prediabetes. I would love for you to leave a review. Reviews help more people find this podcast that has practical advice, science based information, and that will tame that fear and extreme promises that we see online all the time. And again, when you're ready and you want a simple place to start, my 5-day sugar fix reset is available for only $27. No complicated apps, just one email with one focus step each day, and you will know exactly what to work on first. The link is going to be in the show notes, and I will see you next week. Bye.